déjà fait le 5 et le 6 en fait. J'avais à préparer. I had to prepare the 5 and 6 verse, but you did them already.
It says on the sheet that you're supposed to be speaking on 7 and...
Oh really?
8.
That's not what I received, I think. Anyway, no problem, it's the same subject. Huh?
Krishna Kata.
Yeah. Whatever it may be.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Alors, du coup, so we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 19. King Yayati achieves liberation. Text 7. Tameva prishtata maya Ramamanam ajanyaya Vilokya kupa samvigna Namrishyad bastakarmatat Tam eva prishtata maya Ramamanam ajanyaya Vilokya kupa samvigna Namrishyad bastakarmatat Tameva prishtata maya Ramamanam ajanyaya Vilokya kupa samvigna Namrishyad bastakarmatat
Tameva prishtata maya Vilokya kupa samvigna Namrishyad bastakarmatat
Tameva prishtata maya Ramamanam ajanyaya Vilokya kupa samvigna Namrishyad bastakarmatat Tameva prishtata maya Ramamanam ajanyaya Vilokya kupa samvigna Namrishyad bastakarmatat
Des votes?
Tameva prishtata maya
Prishtatat maya
Ramamanam ajanyaya Vilokya kupa samvigna Namrishyad bastakarmatat Tameva prishtata maya Ramamanam ajanyaya Vilokya kupa samvigna Namrishyad bastakarmatat Tameva prishtata maya Vilokya kupa samvigna
Tam, the he-goat. Eva, indeed. Prishtatamaya, beloved. Ramamanam, engaged in sexual activities. Aja, the she-goat. Anyaya, with another she-goat. Vilokya, by seeing. Kupasambhigna, the she-goat who had fallen into the well. Na, not. Amrishyat, tolerated. Basta karma, the business of the goat. Tat, that. Sex is accepted here as the business of the goat. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. When the she-goat who had fallen into the well saw her beloved engaged in sexual affairs with another she-goat, she could not tolerate the goat's activities. Next verse. Tam duridam suridrupam. No, it's okay. Kaminam kshana soridam indyaramam indriyaramam utsrijya swaminam dukitayayo. Translation. Aggrieved by her husband's behavior with another, the she-goat thought that the he-goat was not actually her friend, but was hard-hearted and was her friend only for the time being. Therefore, because her husband was lusty, she left him and returned to her former maintainer. Purport. The word swaminam is significant. Swami means caretaker or master. Devayani was cared for by Shukracharya before her marriage. And after her marriage, she was cared for by Yayati. But here the word swaminam indicates that Devayani left the protection of her husband, Yayati, and returned to her former protector, Shukracharya. Vedic civilization recommends that a woman stay under the protection of a man. During childhood, she should be cared for by her father, in youth by her husband, and in old age by a grandson. In any stage of life, a woman should not have independence. Om Ganati Mirandasya Gananjana Salake Shakshurun Minitam Gena Tasmashi Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpataru Besha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. So this is a kind of purport which is like a bomb sometime in nowadays. The thing is, if we understand what means the last sentence in relation to the previous one, during childhood she should be cared for by her father, in youth by her husband, and in old age by her grandson, cared for. So in this sense, independence means without protection. This is Vedic civilization, that in any stage of life, the woman should be protected. Independence means in this sense that she's left alone without any protection. She can be exploited by men, and because by nature woman is weaker physically, she can be exploited easily. So this is the Vedic system, that when the girl is small, she's naturally protected by her father. And she's not left like, there is no gap, that she goes at one point and she goes traveling alone. Prabhupada would be surprised when he would see girls traveling, like, who was that? One of his early disciples. She came to the movement, she was 16, and she had already traveled the world alone. So he was Govinda Dasi. So he was surprised, you're so young and you traveled so much already. But this is dangerous, of course. And so she's actually, her hand is given to another man who is supposed to become her protector, the husband. And in case the husband cannot give, in some or another, has to stop, or is not giving this protection anymore, the girl is supposed to go back to her father, like she did here. Of course, we see that here she had good reason to leave her husband. He was going with others' wives, or at least other wives, other women. So he had good reason. And I would speak maybe a little bit on the previous subject because I was told to prepare, if I'm not wrong, the previous verses which are related to this one. The whole subject actually of this chapter is lust, more or less, and the ill effects of lust. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna compares the body to a city of 9 gates. Navadvare Puri Dehi, 9 gates. The body is compared to a city with 9 gates. 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 2 eyes, 1 mouth, genitals, and rectum. And fruit and the soul is actually residing in that city of 9 gates. So now it reminded me of a story from the Greek civilization. That's this famous, I don't know, you say Troy, how you say Troy? Troy. The city of Troy, which was like under siege for 10 years, something. Then, the Greeks were wondering how to get into that city, which was so fortified that they could not get in. So they had this idea to build this wooden horse. Ulysse had this idea to build this wooden horse, and they left it and they left. They did as they left, they went to hide somewhere. And that time it was something they would do to build such things and put it on the beach and for the worship of Poseidon and other gods like this. So somebody was sent to the city and said that you have to accept this horse, otherwise it will be very inauspicious for you if you don't take this horse with you. And they left anyway. Now you can take this horse. So they took the horse, and we know the story. In the belly of the horse, Ulysse and like few soldiers they hid. And when it was nighttime, they came out. They opened the doors, and the whole city was taken. So this is how actually Maya she acts. She sends us things which we take for our friends. She takes our things which we take as beneficial for us, and we let them in. And when they are inside, they destroy us. This lust destroys us. So this process, of course, is explained, as you know, in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says the process, he describes the process very nicely. Dhyayato visayam pumsam sangas tesu pajayate. So first, one has to let things in. So either by the nose, tongue, eyes, 5 senses of perceptions, which are some of the gates and of the city. So we let things in. This is considered like food actually for the senses, and as we let these things inside, the sense objects are very powerful. They are more powerful than dead matter, and they take over the senses. And when the senses are under the influence of the sense objects, then this idea come to the mind that, thinking, feeling, willing, the mind starts to feel, especially due to the past samskars. Usually, we are in this material world for quite a long time already, according to the scriptures. So we have experienced everything in this world again and again, punar, charvita, charvananam, chewing the chewed. But still, each time, as an addict, he sees a bottle of wine, he has experienced the wine taste. So again, this memory comes to the mind, and the mind becomes influenced. And from the mind, the mind starts to influence the intelligence. And intelligence starts to make plans. Actually, intelligence starts to develop the fourth ego to identify with this body, to identify with the senses and the mind. And from this fourth identification, the intelligence is just neighbor to the soul, and in between the soul and the mind. So the intelligence identifies starts to grow this fourth ego, and from this fourth ego, then the desire to, of course, to get an experience through the senses, because soul needs something. Soul is anandamayo bhyasat. Soul is blissful by nature. So it has to experience something, and when this identification is caused by intelligence, then it goes in the wrong direction. Prabhupada, one time, a journalist asked Prabhupada in an airport, what is the goal of life? Yes, Prabhupada answered, to enjoy. So the journalist was taken aback, to enjoy. And Prabhupada said, but they don't know how. They don't know how. So this is like there's this analogy of the drunken man, who's coming back at night, and he drops his key on the floor in the street, and there's this réverbère, this lights, street light, and is actually his key is somewhere in the dark, but he thinks, here there is light, so I'm going to look here, and I'm going to find my keys because there is light here. So he's looking for his key, but because there is light, he's looking here. That's for him, he's looking in the wrong place. So in the same way, the soul which identifies with the fourth ego, with the senses, with the mind, looks for happiness, but it looks for the wrong and in the wrong place. And Prabhupada said that there is some pleasure in sense gratification, in the process of sense gratification, but this pleasure is actually the greatest enemy. Prabhupada says in the purport of Bhagavad Gita that this actually pleasure is the greatest enemy of one who makes experience of this pleasure, because it binds him to this experience. So I'm going to read one or two verses from Bhagavad Gita where Arjuna asked this question to Krishna. This is chapter 3, Karma Yoga, text 36. Arjuna said, O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? Krishna answers, 47, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. So Krishna says that this lust is born from the mode of passion. But from lust comes anger, and anger is in a mode of ignorance. So we have this, even the Christians, I was reading, I have a book, somebody gave me a book on the Christian prayers, and they realize these things, that it's like a trend, it's like when you get the first one, you get the second one, third one, fourth one. You cannot say, I'm going to be lusty, and I'm going to keep my mind clear. I'm going to keep my intelligence clear. Of course, if one thinks like this, it means he's already confused. But he's going to get more confused and more confused. You cannot think that, I'm going to enjoy, but I'm going to be a nice person. I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to be envious. I'm not going to be in illusion. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya, Moha. That's it. Huh? 6, Kama is first. Kama is the beginning only. Krishna says that this material world is like a reflection of the tree, of the real tree. And he says that the water, the basis, the water is actually desire. Desire means, there's a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita which describes the difference between love of Krishna and lust. Desire is means want to please the senses of Krishna, and lust means a desire to want to please one's own senses. So this desire is the basis, and from this we go deeper and deeper and deeper into ignorance, actually. Because as we described, the intelligence will convince one that is matter, is the body, is the senses, and thus he will develop this fourth ego, And when we say ignorance, it means the opposite of knowledge. And what is knowledge? Gyan, according to Bhagavad Gita, Jnana means to know the difference between the soul and the body. To know that I'm a spirit soul, I'm not the body. This is Jnana. So Kama, Krodha, anger. We cannot say that, yes, I'm going to be a nice, lusty person. It's like, of course, if we have some knowledge, we may, by some tricks, this is New Age, and we are, they call it, personal development, and we may try to remain on the mode of goodness, and enjoy, because we understand that mode of ignorance, mode of passion, they bring suffering. We experience this. So we try to be in a mode of goodness. Kalamaka Maharji compares this to a person who is living in an oasis in the desert, and two people living in an oasis and try to, they're fed up to be in this oasis, and one day they decide to go for the Greenland. They heard about the Greenland and they're fed up with their only one single tree, coconut tree and small pond of water. So they decide to go, and go for the adventure, try to, and they go, and there are few people actually, and after some time, in the desert, some they just decide to come back because it's just unbearable this heat, and they say, let's go back to the oasis. At least there was the shade of that tree, and a little bit of water, and but some they say, no, we're gonna go for the Greenland. Let's go. And they go through the austerities, and finally, they reach another place with a bigger place, but it's still an oasis. And he compares this to the mode of goodness. And everything is nice, but it's still in the desert. He says, it's like devotees saying, okay, living in my dog is vegetarian, my cat is vegetarian. kind of mode of goodness life. But Prabhupada says that usually a person who is not a devotee cannot claim to have this sama, this equality of mind. You know, we may think like this, but it's like sometimes materialistic people, they seem to be very nice, you know, and very nice. They are very nice as long as we go in their way. I say in the same direction, you know. But if you, like we say in French, if you brush against the poil, brosser à contre-poil, so then they reveal who they are, you know. It's like Prabhupada said that there was this person, he was in a village, you know, he came one day in a village, you know, a person came, he was a stranger. He was a stranger, you know, and nobody knew from where he was coming. And he was very nice person, and it was very difficult to know from where he was coming because he would speak different languages perfectly. You know, he could speak, you know, in the village there were a few people coming from different origins, they would speak different languages. He could speak with them all the different languages, you know, so it was very difficult to know from where he was coming. So one day, one of the villagers, he had an idea. And as this man was sitting peacefully one day, he came from the back and he slapped him. Then the guy started to shout and scream at him in his mother language, you know. Because when you're angry, you know, you lose your control, you know. And then they said, okay, he's coming from that place, you know. They could. So the same way as Srimad Bhagavatam say, what is that verse, you know? Yes, yet. Arava bhaktasya kuto madguna yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarver gunes tatra samasate suraha. You know, arava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna. So one who yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana, one who has faith in Krishna, he will develop all the qualities of the demigods. But arava bhaktasya, it's not Araba Bhaktasya. Be careful. What's his name? Gora Bhakta made this joke. Arava Bhaktasya Kuto Mahadguna. What is the great quality? There is no great quality in somebody who is not a Bhakta. Why? Because he is under the three modes, you know. And we know that this ignorance of the self means we will go more and more and more and more and more in the wrong direction. So it is said also that suffering, lust in itself is suffering. Because it's actually, if we think about it, lust means like it's compared to a fire. And it's a fire burning in the heart. And people think that to pour gasoline on this fire is pleasure, you know, because it stops the fire for a few seconds. But then, as we know, the fire grows bigger and bigger and bigger. So, but the only experience in the material world of pleasure is these few seconds of the fire going down. And the highest is the fire. The highest seems the pleasure when it comes down. So they try to increase the desire, because when this temporary satisfaction comes, in comparison to the biggest fire, it seems pleasure. So it is said in Bhagavad Gita that one who is dhira, he is not affected even by the greatest lost in this material world, which is like losing a dear one, for example, dhiras tatra namuyati. But we cannot be a dhira in the material world if we are going into this lusty direction. Dhira sober, or Prabhupada sometimes also compares a man who is in the grip of lust to a ghost-hunted person, to a drunken man. We have the example in the Srimad Bhagavatam, of course, of Nalakuvera, Manigriva. They were completely intoxicated in the company of these ladies in the lake, and they just lost it. They forgot everything, even to dress in front of Narad, and they were cursed to take bodies of trees. So it is said that it is actually increasingly more difficult to control senses, mind, intelligence. So that's why Krishna says to Arjuna in the conclusion of this series of verses regarding lust, that one has to start to regulate the senses, to conquer this insatiable enemy of lust. So this is actually the process of sadhana bhakti. And Prabhupada says, from any point of life, one may start to regulate the senses and turns lust into love of Godhead, which is the highest perfectional stage of human life. So it's ideal if one starts from very young age, when Komara Cheret Pragyo, 5 years of age, when it starts to be regulated. But, we didn't have this opportunity, we didn't have this chance, So Prabhupada says from any point of life, one may start to regulate the senses. So this is actually sadhana bhakti, which means to engage the senses in devotional service. Pratyahara, we find this in yoga system. Ahar means food, it means food actually, or nourishing. So pratyahara means stopping food. So this is the process in yoga. Before meditation, one has to stop giving material food to the senses. Pratyahara, asana. First is yama niyama, asana. Pratyahara comes just after asanas. First, in order to have the mind peaceful and for meditation. But of course, we know that's not actually the process to stop giving food to the senses. So the senses have to be given spiritual food in the form of spiritual activities. The mind has to be given thoughts of Krishna, thinking, feeling, willing, desiring for Krishna, and intelligence has to make plans to acquire spiritual knowledge. And in this way, we redevelop our real ego, as Krishna does. So that verse we saw in Bhagavad Gita, Jyayato Visam Sangam, Sangas Tesu Pajayate, attachments come from association. So what is this verse and this word Sangha is actually very important, because from whatever association we choose, this will influence us. So that's why Tamodvaram Yoshito Sangi Sangam Mahat Sevam Dvaru Aur Vimukte, that Kapila says that the association of materialistic people will actually is actually the door open, wide door, wide open towards hell. Tamodvaram Yoshita Sangi Sangam, and Mahat Sevam Dvaram Haur Vimukte. But service to devotees is actually the door opening to liberation. And oops, I'm gonna look for this. In the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes this verse, and he says, Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Oi Sadhu Sangha Krishna Prema Janmeteno Puna Mukhya Anga. The root cause of devotional service to Lord Krishna is association with advanced devotees. Even when one's dormant love for Krishna awakens, association with devotees is still most essential. So in the beginning, association is essential. In the middle, association is essential. At the end, if we can say at the end, or even advanced stage, association is essential. Because whatever we associate with, of course, will influence our intelligence. And association with devotees is where we will find actually our satisfaction. We have to look for satisfaction. We have to be addicted to something. That's our tendency. You know, one devotee was giving class in Mayapur, and his profession actually was to work with addicted people. But he said he had experienced actually that the solution they give to the people suffering from addiction is, in many times, is more miserable than even the addiction itself, you know. So, but he was saying that you have to think of something, you have to find some activity in Krishna consciousness to which you become addicted, you know, either preaching, either reading, puja. You have to find, and one thing you have to be addicted to is association of devotees, yeah? Because it is in the beginning. This is the root of success, but this is also in all different grades of devotional service, it remains the main item. Because if you are associating with devotees, you get the whole thing. You know, you get the holy name, you get the prasadam, you get the deities, you get the Bhagavatam, you get everything. O devotees, O you who are free from all sins, let me inquire from you about that which is supremely auspicious for all living entities. Association with a pure devotee for even half a moment in this material world is the greatest treasure for human society. So we see in that story, you know, the problem started when Yayati saw Devayani in the well, and this, of course, he's a king, so he's proud to be in this situation where, you know, risk is there. He goes hunting in the forest. It's not very in the mode of goodness activity, you know, and he sees this lady and he gets attached, and the whole thing, you know, it's like a chain reaction. So in the same way, if we associate with devotees, there will be also a chain reaction, you know, and if we associate nicely with devotees, it's actually a barometer, you say, of our spiritual life, is how much we appreciate the association of devotees, you know. Usually when we join, we really associate, we really relish association of devotees, because we see everybody as very advanced. We don't question anything, you know, and so we don't think this one is my equal, this one is inferior to me, this one is superior to me. We see everybody as, I mean, at least in my case, I remember I would see all the devotees, you know, as demigods, and I remember Gopal Prabhu was there, and other devotees, you know, and so devotees, they are, wow, you know, they are like angels from the spiritual world, which they are actually, but you know, familiarity breeds contempt, and we live with devotees, and after years and years, you know, we don't even realize that they are special anymore. Sometimes we start to associate in a wrong way, you know. Prabhupada says twice in Upadeshamrita that if one learns to associate in a proper way, meaning one shows compassion to the younger devotees, one becomes friend and helps those who are on the same level, and one serves those who are on a higher level. If one learns this heart, he will be happy in all situations of life. Because in all situations of life, you will find people who are higher than you, same level than you, and lower than you. guaranteed, guaranteed. And one learns this art, actually he will be satisfied in any situation because he will act properly in all situations. And when we are not satisfied in a relationship, in association with people we associate with, usually it's because of us. We cannot change them, It's like if you expect respect from people outside, you'll be, many times you'll be frustrated. Because how can you demand respect from others? But if you want to offer respect to others, then nobody can bar you from doing this. Anytime, anywhere, So you'll be very satisfied. You can do what you want. You want to show respect to others? You can do it. Everywhere, anywhere. You want to demand respect from others? That's difficult, That will be, either you will have to make a show to inspire respect, or you will have to force yourself upon the person, and when you are not shown respect, you will get angry. Like the story of Devani Sarmishta, she got angry with just, she took my dress, So, learning how to associate is very, very important, because we'll have to associate all our life with people around us, and after this life also, except if we go into Brahma Jyoti, but Aruya Krishna Param Padam Tata Patanti Yada. Prabhupada said if you stay alone, you get bored. You have no. And if you go to the forest, you don't go alone. You go with your six senses. If you go down in the water, you may see some fishes. So the art of association, and that, I don't know if you notice, but I notice for myself that if some or other, by Krishna's mercy, one day I chant nicely, which is long back now for me, but if I chant nicely, then the association of devotees is nectar. Everything is nectar, Association with devotees is nectar, Hearing the Bhagavatam class is nectar. Everything is nectar, And if in a mode of tamas, if I'm in tamas, everything is suffering. The relationship with devotees is just suffering. So from this experience, at least from my experience, I feel it's coming from me, It's coming from me. If my consciousness is good. So that's why I'm saying that it's a barometer of our consciousness, how much we enjoy, how much we like to be in the association of devotees, And the danger is that if we go on associating in a wrong way, we'll think that this people association is not good for me. I'm going to change association. And we'll go with other people, Of course, in the material world, nobody really cares about you. Nobody cares about your spiritual advancement, of course. So they let you alone. But devotees, they don't let you alone. It's like, like now on the roads, highways, you have this white paint, this how you say ling, and now it makes noise, when you go astray, it's tuk 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 tuk. In France, it's like this, it's like it warns you. You're not staying, you're not going straight, so it starts to make some sound, tuk 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 tuk, and then So devotees association is like this, it's like for different reasons, of course, it's like obviously, you will feel bad. I would feel bad if I would start to watch a movie now in front of you, If you're alone, you can watch a movie, but if you're, in the company, if you're living in an ashram, somebody else in the room, you have to, and, on a more advanced stage, you like to have feedbacks from devotees. Yeah. So, anyway, in conclusion, I would say that we cannot get rid of this enemy alone. And if we are alone, we don't even realize that we are caught by the enemy. And we don't even realize that we are caught by lust, greed. We just go down and down and down, and one day we realize, but it's like we have to go back. We have to do the whole way back up, and it's like painful, it's like it takes time to rewind, the process. So they say when it's hard, when you dig and when it's hard, it means you're gonna find diamond, something like this, no? So sometimes association with devotees is hard, but because you'll find diamond, in the association of devotees. I'll stop here and ask for questions and rectifications, comments.
Okay.
One or two at least.
Question.
2 minutes.
So how to respect devotees, different kinds of devotees. So those who are envious,
Yeah, so that's good. I was thinking of this morning.
How to respect them.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed the example with, what was his name? Puri something? Ramachandra Puri. Ramachandra Puri, he was envy personified, practically speaking, critic personified. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed him outside, he showed respect. But inside, of course, he didn't care a fig for him, So at least outside, for more senior devotees, we always have to show respect from outside.
What do you mean from outside?
From outside, from outside, outside you won't criticize him, you will not blame him, you will not, attack him or anything. Of course, if he goes so far as, attacking you, but you will defend yourself, but otherwise you just show respect, but from far away, so as he said. But from inside, of course, you know how to associate. You won't go to him and ask him question, reveal your mind to him. You will choose people who are free from envy. Rupa Goswami gives this in his Upadeshamrita. He gives actually Shushusho, what is that verse saying, how you should associate with every, kind of devotees. Yeah, from outside, but don't go near that person, don't associate with him. Associating means like, dadati pratigyanti, giving, receiving, revealing your mind, inquiring from him. You don't do this, It's like, even with materialistic people, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, if you're living in the world, you have to associate with people, but you have to associate like in a market. You ask the price of the vegetables, you ask things, but you don't go for intimate questions, Answers your question? No? Answers your question? You have to show respect from outside, because if you're in front of a junior, he doesn't know the story, he doesn't know the thing, and he thinks, oh, that's how we can do, and he will replicate it, but in the wrong situation, it's like this, imitating, instead of following in the footsteps. Like Prabhupada gives the story of the veterinary with the horse and the melon, he's stuck in his throat, it's like, so, one day, a veterinary is asked to go with his assistant, and a man, the horse is sick, it's difficult to breathe, he has a big neck like this. So the veterinary said, give me a stick, and he takes the sticks and he bangs the neck of the horse, and these things disappears, and the horse is back to his good health again. So next time, the assistant, is asked to go somewhere without the veterinary, and there's an animal, he has pain, so the guy asks for a stick, and he kills the animal, because it's just, but he didn't know that horse, he had a watermelon, he had swallowed a watermelon, so the veterinary, when he gave this, the stick, he broke the watermelon and it could swallow it. So this is the difference between imitation and... so when in front of junior devotee, we should never criticize others. Even those who are... maybe we can warn them, but very respectfully. Otherwise, plus, after all, maybe that person is critic or is badly situated at one point, but he can also rectify himself. It's not that people are going astray forever. Plus, sometimes we may think he's wrongly situated or badly situated, but maybe we may be wrong. so we have to be careful. We have to be careful. Better to be more careful than less careful. Better to be more humble than less humble. It's like take less risk.
Yeah, but what about somebody who's blaspheming, accusing an advanced devotee?
Yeah, we know. We have to defend. In case it's not against us, we have to defend. But still, we should not get into the same trap and become critic like him or, become angry like him. Otherwise, if we get angry, we lose our mind, as we saw. If we get angry, we should not think, I'm going to use anger in the service of Krishna. It's like one devotee wrote to Prabhupada, something, and I just read the answer, but Prabhupada said, before being anxious for Krishna, try to get free from anxiety. That devotee must have written to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I want to be anxious for Krishna, blah, 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 blah. Prabhupada answered, before being anxious for Krishna, try to get free from anxiety, So I find it more secure to never let anger, overpower me, It's like, you lose your mind, you lose your intelligence, Only if you are on a spiritual level, you can use these things without getting touched, like Prabhupada, he would scream and get angry after a devotee, but next minute he would be peaceful without any trace of anger. Usually when we get angry, it's like we continue trembling, for a few minutes and we're completely afflicted. Srimad Bhagavatam Grantaraj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gora Premanande.
Talk about women having to be dependent on men.
It's true.